As a new student at Lothal's Imperial Academy, Zer Leonis does everything it takes to pass as a model cadet. But he is a hidden enemy among Imperial loyalists. Determined to discover the truth about his missing sister and to bring down the Empire. Luckily, he has his tech-savvy girlfriend, Miri, by his side, willing to help him however she can, even if it means dealing with criminals in the shadiest parts of Capital City. In the meantime, Zer must face down a dangerous foe of his own, Captain Rodents, who seems bent on pushing Zer to his breaking point. Join these rebellious cadets as they risk everything to take on the fearsome Empire.
Welcome back, younglings, to the Padawan Library, the Star Wars Junior Novel Podcast. I'm Levi Peretic, and with me, as always, Tim May.
Hello, everyone.
And this week, we continue our journey into Star Wars Rebels, Servants of the Empire, with Book 3 of 4, Imperial Justice, written, of course, by Jason Fry. And, as we're talking about justice, we're also talking about Just Shoot Me.
Yes.
The sitcom. We're talking about
the more tenuous connections we've ever pulled.
It is.
So we're talking Just Shoot Me, the pilot of Just Shoot Me, the NBC sitcom that ran from 1997 to 2003. I thought it was, that seemed late to me. I don't know why. I was just like, wait a minute, that ran for 2003.
Well, let's talk about that in a minute, because Tim, Rising Suns. Wait, no. Hang on.
What? Is it? Oh, you're trying to do your stupid bit from like 3 years ago?
Yeah, my Batu News. I have Batu News. Rising Suns and Falling Moons. I'm Levi Peretic.
Something.
Yeah, may the spires be with you. This is Batu News.
I don't even think that's right either.
Okay, the Disney has
there is some Galaxy's Edge news, you're saying?
Yes, there is. There is some Galaxy's Edge news. The Galactic Star Cruiser Hotel.
Ooh.
They have announced it. They are taking reservations, and we have prices. And we have an itinerary, okay?
Oh, boy.
Okay. For 2 people to go, for a 2-day trip, this includes all your food and everything. There's a whole itinerary. Okay. How much do you think it costs for 2 people for 2 days?
For 2 days. $5,000.
Very, very close. $4,809.
I overshot. I would lose on Price is Right, but
you did overshoot. And then this is information coming from, of course, theme park journalist Carly Wiesel, and she also has the itinerary of like what you would do on your 2-day inclusive trip. All right. The price goes down / up the more people you add to it, by the way. But for 2 people, it's $5,000. All right.
So $2,500 per person, basically.
Yeah, pretty much. Okay, so your day starts at 1 o'clock. You arrive at the terminal. Then you are aboard a launch pod into the Star Cruiser. Then you have ship orientation and light refreshments by 3 p.m. After that, you have the Outer Rim Regalia, and then what they call are unexpected story moments, where like you get like approached to do something, like in this sort of one, might join an elite smuggling ring or hide a stowaway to help the resistance. Okay, then we got bridge training. Then the next morning, you have to be out of bed and ready to ride the shuttle to Batu at 8:15 a.m.
Well, I love it.
And,
That's
and
for
then
me.
and then you are riding Star Wars: Rise of the Resistance by 8:45 a.m. So clearly, this is like before the parks open. They're getting all of these like people in this hotel through this ride.
Well, because that's a public ride. So.
Yeah, exactly. They got to keep this in story here. You're paying thousands of dollars. Then another story moment followed by that. Then you have lightsaber training at 1 o'clock, droid racing competition, build
droid
model
racing. Okay.
Yeah. Model shipbuilding, a sabacc tournament at 4 o'clock.
Oh.
Then cocktails, a taste around the galaxy dinner, and then another story moment to end out your night. So that's your
that
2 days.
sounds awesome. I'm not, I'm sure I'd have a great time. That's a little steep, for now at least.
A little steep in my opinion, but if I hit the lottery,
yeah, yeah, maybe if I set aside some money every month for 5 or 6 years, then I'll feel comfortable doing
I'd say put it in an IRA.
But yeah, sure.
Hang on, Vamp. I gotta go help my cat. She's tangled.
Oh well, the cat. Something's gone on with Sally, Levi's cat. So I just wanted to say that I feel. There was one of the things it was one of the things I was more excited about. I have to say, but I knew it was going to be crazy expensive the whole time. So.
Yes, I know, right?
How's Sally doing?
She's doing good. She just got herself wrapped around our fire pit a little bit, and now she's free.
Good. I'm happy. All right.
So, just shoot me.
Oh well. Okay. Well.
Okay.
Before we get started, that's just in Florida, right? For now.
Yes, just in Florida. Yep.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So just shoot me. This was Okay, go ahead.
I have a theory about where this title came from. I like to picture they were screening this pilot for executives, and they were like, oh, we don't have a title for this show, and as watching the show, one of the executives just went, just shoot me over this show.
Was frustrated he couldn't come up with the title. It does feel like a very, researched title. Just what's a phrase that lots of people use? That's relatable, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so before we get, we're not going to go that deep on this. There's not much to talk about, but
no, I watched this. I forgot to actually watch this. I was I just turned off the TV for bed at 11 o'clock last night, and I was just oh, I forgot to watch Just Shoot Me. So I was.
It's very easy to watch, but I just you can find it on Hulu if you guys are interested. But it's created by Steve Levitan, who was a Frasier writer and then went on to co-create Modern Family after this, I believe.
Yes, he did. That's his second big success. He did have a 3 shows after this show.
Well, yeah, Back to You, right?
Back to You,
which was the Kelsey Grammer, Patricia Heaton news comedy. Am I right?
Yes, that's
okay.
it. Ran for 1 season. It was on Fox.
That was very hyped at the time. If you were an Entertainment Weekly reader back in the 2000s, they were fucking pumped for that
show. Okay, so you have Back to You. Then you also have Stacked, the Pamela Anderson book TV show.
I remember with Christopher Lloyd.
Right, which is actually his 3rd most successful show because it ran for 2 seasons, 5 of which are unaired. And then
Taxi and what else? What other shows?
You're talking I'm talking about Steve Levitan.
He only needs one successful show.
Yeah, well, he's got this Mad About You. Not Mad About You.
Just Shoot Me. We talked about this last week. When I was a kid, I didn't watch either Just Shoot Me or Mad About You, and I have mixed them up my whole life. And I'm sure Mad About You is probably better. I feel like it has a better reputation. But.
And then he has one more TV series that only lasted a season, and that was Stark Raving Mad. That aired on NBC. Starred Neil Patrick Harris.
Wait. when did that air on NBC?
This aired from 99 to 2000.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say like
Yeah.
I was like because you said after
It
Just
goes
Shoot Me, so I was thinking like wasn't he on like How I Met Your Mother that whole time? Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
It goes Just Shoot Me, Stark Raving Mad, Stacked, then the
Back
new
to You,
sitcom, Back to You, and then Modern Family, his huge success. So
well, yeah, I mean, obviously, like a show that ran for 7 seasons and had a vaguely successful run in syndication means you're independently wealthy for the rest of your life. So he's set from Just Shoot Me, but then Modern Family, he's like a nation state. He
has a mansion without a doubt.
Yes, I would think so. So
maybe a couple.
But anyway, he wrote on Frasier before this, I think.
Okay. But
regardless, this show stars Laura San Giacomo, who was she's in Sex, Lies, and Videotape, right? Am I right about this?
I couldn't tell you. I actually have not seen that flick.
I haven't seen it in a very long time. Okay, I'm probably wrong. It's another one of these things where I think I mix her and another person up, Mary Elizabeth Master Antonio, because they have similar like weird names that sound like more than one name, but it's actually just a really long name. Anyway, so she's in it. George Segal, who we talked about when we did the Hot Rock a little while ago.
Yes, we did.
Doing his late career like get me some fucking cash, baby role, and then. Enrico Castellano, who later I know from he was the dad on Veronica Mars, and most notably David Spade. This is so it's set at a Vogue like music fashion magazine, not Vogue.
Yeah,
like
it actually
a little trashier than Vogue. Like
the show is called Blush.
It's a magazine like
Blush.
Sort of like Vogue, but it's like a little more closer to like Cosmopolitan maybe than to Vogue. I would say like it doesn't have the pretensions of Vogue.
I don't think Vogue has a sex quiz in it, so
no.
I think you're right about that. Cosmo would. So
Vogue wants to be taken vaguely seriously. I don't really think this magazine seems to want that. The main character, she's the daughter of the publisher of this magazine, who was played by George Segal. The main character, she gets fired in the first scene from her other job at a news station because she fucks with the teleprompter. Classic. If you're doing a news comedy, I'm sure there's jokes like this on Back to You.
Oh, without a doubt.
I'm sure Kelsey is just reading all kinds of copy from the teleprompter that wasn't supposed to be there. And so, anyway, so yeah, they so she loses that job. And she has to go beg her dad for a job at his trashy magazine. Her dad has also married one of her college friends. So
I thought it was a high school friend, actually. Yeah,
I don't know. I guess so.
They said she was the homecoming queen. Like so.
Sure. Yeah, you're right.
And
you're right.
We never meet this person. Too.
I mean, I assume you meet her at some point. Although it could be one of those classic sitcom things where you never
classic
see
Frasier.
Or Norm from Cheers.
Yeah.
Norm. Yeah. Vera. Anyway, so they. And that's basically the setup. If you're wondering, where's David Spade fall into this? David Spade is the secretary, the sleazy secretary, as you'd expect from David Spade in 1997, playing a sleazy, officious motherfucker, like he's doing the perfect role for him. Like where he's hitting on all the models coming in and all kinds of
stealing nude photos of the models.
Photos. It's the 90s, baby.
Which is so funny. There's so many jokes that they have laugh tracks over so many jokes, and there are jokes that they would never even think about putting a laugh over these days.
Oh, sure. I mean, it's not. I mean, I think it's a live studio audience show, so maybe I'm sure they got legitimate laughs, but it's yeah, I mean, obviously, cultural mores have changed pretty dramatically.
Yes, they
obviously.
Certainly have.
But it's definitely the very '90s, casual sexism going on all over the place. I mean, and I guess that's appropriate given the kind of, like, the magazine they work for is also a very 90s kind of thing. That's why I don't really think it's that much like Vogue, really, because Vogue is, like, high fashion, whereas this seems more... It's not. It seems aimed at women, so it's not like Maxim or something. But it's like, yeah, I'm trying to think of like Self. You remember Self magazine?
I think so.
Yeah, that was like a trashy women's mag from the 90s. Anyway, so
I'm not going to ask you how you know about himself.
I mean, Self is. I don't know. It was on the newsstand when I was a kid, and it wasn't. It was aimed at like younger women, like 20-something. Women, I believe, something like that. I also know a lot about publishing. I'm a publishing king. You know that, so.
You're a publishing man.
I don't know. We don't have much to talk about. Some of the jokes are fine. Like, it's like a professionally written sitcom. I don't think it's, like, bad. But it's also, like, nothing special. I mean, maybe it escalates and it becomes a better show. It was a big hit. Went for 7 years.
According to Wikipedia, the best episode of the series is in season 3.
With David Cross, right, as a guest star?
Yeah. Yep, David Cross is the guest star, and the episode is called Slow Donnie, so maybe we'll explore Slow Donnie at some point in the show.
I don't know, that sounds very 90s to me also, in some ways. I mean,
that would have been, if season 3, so that would have been like 2001, so yeah. The world was very different then.
Oh, I mean, that was, I just watched the Woodstock 99 documentary on HBO, which is worth watching, but is one of the most horrifying things I've ever seen. I was like, God damn it. I don't even want to get into it. Anyway, so there's not much to talk about. I like that this was one of the many shows that aired between Friends and Seinfeld. For a couple of years. And NBC had that incredible night where it was anchored by Friends, Seinfeld, Frasier, and ER, and they could never get that fourth sitcom. They just kept... I mean, I think this kind of wound up being the one, and then Seinfeld went off the air, so they got fucked again, basically. But, like, when Seinfeld ended. But, like, it was... they had... Like, I've always said, like, that's obviously the most successful night in the history of NBC. I remember, though, like, when we were in college, they had that Thursday night lineup where it was Community, it was 30 Rock, Community,
Parks and Rec.
Parks and Rec, and then, like, The Office. It was, like, kind of to the end of where you care about The Office, really.
Right.
But, although I think the last couple Carell seasons, at least, but those are also not that good, in my opinion. Don't come at me, Office freaks.
But, like, once, I'm just stating the obvious. Once Carell's gone, show is just
it
forgettable.
Obviously,
should have ended.
It's not even. It's not even worth talking about. But
if you think a non-Carell season is a good season of The Office,
who thinks that?
Throw yourself down a reactor shaft.
Well, yeah, you can easily
get out of here.
That sort of threat.
Get out of the library.
Zero people believe that those seasons are good. I do think like the finale itself is pretty good.
Yeah, the finale's good. The finale works.
They should have just tacked the finale onto season 7 and ended the show. Anyway, whatever. But that was a great lineup, though. But that never had a great drama to go with it, like ER in the 90s, where it's like, it's just like that was like that's.
It was just a comedy night, It didn't have that, so.
Yeah, so they had to. I think they had to lead into the Jay Leno show one of those years. Remember?
They definitely had to.
The 10 o'clock Jay Leno show. They definitely had to. Jay's 10 at 10, and I don't know why I'm referencing bits from the Jay Leno show, the 10 o'clock version. The one that, went before Conan's Tonight Show, if people don't remember. Anyway.
Right, the one that came on before the evening news. This was like such a massive cultural, event when we were in college that, feels like the most ancient thing on Earth. I agree,
when you talk about, this was, the biggest media story in the world for, months. And, I don't know. Wild stuff. Okay.
And then a writer's strike went on right around that time, too.
That was a little before, I think. But, yeah.
But there was a lot going on there.
Late night, when late night mattered, baby. I don't even know what I'm talking about. All right. We're yeah, there's nothing else to talk about.
There's nothing to talk about.
This is interesting because like Spade like is a person obviously like had a big career at SNL, largely as and then like playing characters like this, like the and then obviously had like Tommy Boy, and then made the much inferior Black Sheep with Chris Farley, and then mostly was like, I'm gonna go do a sitcom. And other than Joe Dirt, and like cameos in Sandler movies, he doesn't really make movies anymore. And then I didn't realize this. He is also in another sitcom after Just Shoot Me called Rules of Engagement that lasted 7 seasons also. This is a show I have never heard of until I was looking at stuff. And since we're talking about Spade, why don't we announce what we're going to watch next week?
All right, so next week our book is The Secret Academy, and because it's The Secret Academy, we're going to and this is the 4th book, we're going to watch Police Academy 4, Citizens on Patrol, which, guess what, has David Spade in it. So
Spade has some sort of role in Police Academy 4.
He is Kyle Rumford. Is his role.
That what year is this movie?
87.
So that's before he's on SNL, like way before he's on SNL.
Oh, wow.
Because he goes on to SNL in like 1990, 91, something like that, right? Yeah, so that's, oh man, I can't wait. He's probably barely in it. Anyway.
He's probably barely in it. Movie is 1 hour and 28 minutes. That is the perfect length for a movie.
Beautiful. All right, so we actually have a lot to talk about with the book, so I'm glad we kept things fairly short. So after the break, we will be talking Imperial Justice. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Padawan Library. I'm Tim May, here as always with Levi Peretic.
Hello.
I hope you all, during the break, had a refreshing experience. So, the book we're reading this week is Imperial Justice by Jason Fry. It's the 3rd book in the Servants of the Empire series. We've been really liking this series so far.
3rd cover illustrator, too.
Oh, wow.
David Lemur is the cover illustrator on this one, so... They
all are in the same style.
They are all in the same style. They are very consistent. So, but I'm liking this series too, Tim.
It's a wonderful series. I have this book. We'll get into the details in a minute here, but I gotta say, keeping it up. This is easily some of the best. I'm just gonna say this is some of the best stuff we've read for this podcast. By
I
far.
agree.
It's fantastic.
I agree.
It's like
there's a lot.
I think it is Jude level.
Is Jude level.
I have more emotional investment in the Jude stuff because of it's the breadth of it. You know what I'm talking about? But like the level, it's that level of quality very easily to me.
And there's things I like about this. I love all the names are up for debate on how you pronounce them. I'm calling the character Mary because my wife's actual name is Mary, so I'm going to keep it with that. But the Mary storyline in this book is so insanely good. Yeah. And all the Imperial stuff is so spot on to what it like needs to be tonally, sort of thing. And that it's just...
I'll say and we'll get into all the details, but I think this series does one of the best jobs of any Star Wars thing I've ever read of having sympathetic Imperial characters without it seeming like too much like there's good people on both sides, bullshit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know.
They complicate it every time. It's like it's always really interesting. Jason Fry doing a great job. Shouts to him and his editor, whoever that may be. After talking to oh man, what's the guy's name? I can't believe.
Oh shit!
This is embarrassing.
Emil.
After talking to Emil a few weeks ago, I want to shout out to all the editors out there because I feel like probably with these short turnarounds, they play more of a significant creative role than we may have given them credit for in the past. So whoever
and
the
this
editor
too,
was,
and with this being all wrapped up in episodes of Rebels, because this book is where we get our second Zare appearance on Rebels. His second episode happens within this book.
Right.
Too. I watched these last night, rewatched both those episodes. I love that Oleg is not... a faced character. He only wears a mask, his like helmet the entire episode. So that's one of my Rebels, in my opinion, can get a little lazy with the animation because they always have these like faceless Imperials too, and
I'm sure
Clone Wars would never do that.
I don't know if it's lazy or just a lower budget than Clone Wars. I think that's
probably. But they were like, no, we don't have time to animate this old kid's face. He's not important, but he's important in these books. So.
Have you ever finished Rebels, by the way?
No, I have not.
Oh. The last 2 seasons of Rebels are so fucking good.
My problem is I have such a hard time getting through the second season.
Why?
Like, I get into the second season, and that's
all the Vader stuff in season 2. Oh my god!
I guess I don't get to the Vader stuff.
I don't know. Whatever. I watched it as it aired, so I don't have as much.
I'm super into the Bad Batch right now, though. Bad Batch.
Oh really? I'm not. I haven't watched it at all. All right, let's get to the book.
Bad Batch is firing on all cylinders right now, leading up to the season finale.
I'm glad to hear that. I had heard you weren't that thrilled with it earlier, so.
Well, the one thing I like about it is, like, it gives it, not that this is huge, important sort of lore or anything, but, like, you get to see that transition between the Republic Army and the Imperial Army, and, like, all the changes that happen there with them getting rid of the clones. Yeah, there's some interesting stuff going on there, so.
I will watch it at some point. It's just, this show is taking up all my Star Wars oxygen. I have no energy for Star Wars outside of this show. I'm not gonna lie to the audience here, like, this is the entirety of my Star Wars fandom is taking place in preparation for and during the recording of this program. So, a few months after the show ends, then I'll be able to like enjoy Star Wars again. I feel like.
Yep. You're gonna right. In a few months you're gonna be on to the Plus. You're gonna be like, I can enjoy this vehicle fly through episode.
You asked. God, we'll get to the book, I promise, everybody.
Okay.
But this is Star Wars content, so people are thrilled we're talking about anything besides the book, like, that has to do with Star Wars at all. So, those, what are they, Star Wars biomes on Disney Plus?
Okay, there's 2 things, and I discovered them last night trying to watch, yeah, the one's called Star Wars Vehicle Fly-Through. Motorcycle just passed me, which has two episodes, and all they are is just like a camera going through these settings. One is
the Falcon and Star Destroyer, right?
Yes, First Order Star Destroyer.
Yeah.
And then they have one episode of the show called Star Wars Biomes, which is 18 minutes, and basically it's like. This is all ILM doing this, but it's basically drone footage from planets.
Yeah, I watched those back on the 25th because I suspended my exhaustion with Star Wars on the 25th to do like a true Star Wars Day celebration, and I actually kind of liked the idea of it. But I thought the execution was weak. Like I thought the idea of like if you just gave me a planet and like did like a full tour of the planet, just sounds essentially like the sounds of the planet, like a drone-like camera. I actually would be pretty into that, but I just thought first of all they use music, which I thought like because it feels like something you would want to put on like in your living room in the background or something, like a moving piece of art sort of thing, and I also thought the CG was not super great, but.
Yeah, it was fine. Well, also I realized too, like halfway through the music like runs out, so you get to Mustafar and they're showing Vader's castle, and I'm just like, oh shit, Vader's castle! I'm pumped. And like by the end of Mustafar, I was so tuned out of it. I was just like, it's like show me something else here. Come on.
I don't know. It's interesting. I'm curious if they do more stuff like that. I would want it to be like. I don't know. It was interesting.
The one that worked best for me, though, was the Salt Planet from Last Jedi, because it was like this above shot, and you saw all those little runners go through, and they're making lines in the sand, and then you pass the walkers, and you see the footsteps of, like, the walkers' feet, and it makes these, like, really neat patterns. That was the best one.
That's the coolest new planet from the recent movies, in my opinion. Regardless of whatever you think of The Last Jedi, you listeners, I don't want to get into any sort of argument about that, but that environment is like an actually original, cool idea. I'm just saying.
Yeah, exactly.
Like a lot of things in that movie. compared to the other movies. But anyway, so all right, let's get to the book. So we left off the last book. We found out that, I'll say Mary too, we'll just make it consistent.
Yeah, okay.
We found out that Mary was seemingly about to get caught by her mother, who is an Imperial detective, basically, looking into security breaches and that kind of thing.
Yeah, like a tech detective.
And she apparently is like well on the way. She doesn't know yet, or even have a hint really that it's her daughter, but like she's talking about like the process, and it's like that's going to lead directly to Mary. So that's how that ends with her, and then Zare at the academy. That's like that ends with him finding out that his sister is in this program run by the Inquisitors,
right?
And all that,
which is he's going to Arcanus?
Arcanus or whatever. Yeah,
Arcanus. Yep. That's where the secret base is. Well, he's not going there yet because the second book ends with, of course, the end of his first episode of Rebels, but he's like commended for fighting off the insurgents, basically Dev Morgan and Jai, and but the other person of his group, Oleg, he suspects that Zare is like in on this. So like Zare and Oleg are still in the academy together. They still are part of the same unit, and there's this animosity between the two of them going on. And Zare is just like, well, when's Oleg going to find out? When's he going to rat on me? When am I screwed? So basically we have these two storylines of the characters being like, okay, when am I going to get caught? Sort of thing. And they're trying to avoid getting caught.
And yeah, they're... So basically, I mean, I'm trying to kind of structure a timeline here in my head because I don't take notes, people.
I've stopped taking notes too, and I finished this book on Sunday.
Oh no, okay, so I'm gonna have to leave the conversation here because I did just read it. All right, so basically though, Mary has been, of course, is now like indebted to this crime boss. What's the crime boss's name? Laxo. And
of the Grey Syndicate.
So the Grey Syndicate, and yeah, Laxo essentially is like, okay, well, you now have to be my new courier. So she has to essentially take like flash drives to. He runs like gambling, like illegal gambling rings and stuff like that. So she has to like, whatever, talk to his clients, some sort of, and some of them seem, higher up, some of them seem like low lives, and so they, and she also, remember, has a friend from school who had introduced her to Laxo in the first place, Jix, and if you remember, Jix is this young boy who she kind of has a bit of a thing for. Remember, these are young kids. She hasn't seen her boyfriend in a very long time.
Right.
And it's a very stressful relationship. So, she's susceptible to, feeling things for somebody else possibly. So, Jix is all in. Jix is like, oh, I can't believe it. Yeah. She's so pretty. She's such a pretty girl, or whatever. He doesn't act like that. I don't know. Anyways.
He's very shy.
He's very shy.
He blushes a lot. So, but he helps her out because one of the first things they worry about is her mother says, well, we just do basic detective work, and we have this witness from the Transport Academy, someone who's saying they were selling raffle tickets, so we're going to and it's a teenage girl, so we're going to take all the photos of every teenage girl in the surrounding schools and show it to this woman. So with the help of Jix, they go into their school's directory, and they put a new photo in for Mary, so that whenever they show all the photos, Mary's photo won't show up. And that seems to work. And then they're like, okay, are we off at this point? No, not off at that point. So apparently her parents figure out that, like, they jump the signal. Whoever accessed this coder thing, or whatever you want to call it, slicer program, it jumps from location to location, and they're like, well, we know where the locations are, and all we have to do is follow it back. And if the person was smart, they would have done it from like a hotel room or a phone booth, her mother says, or something like that, and then she's like, oh shit, I did it from my bedroom.
And so then Jix offers to use a jammer, or some sort of jammer, to...
Or it was like an eraser sort of
thing. Yeah, that would like scramble the data on something and like erase it or whatever. So they go to this place that they go on their rounds as couriers for Laxo, and they're like, oh, like we need to do an inspection or whatever, and they're like, and they essentially get kicked out of there, and that's they're unable to do that. So Mary at this point is like, thank you, Jix, for trying to help me, but just give me this jammer, and like I got a plan of my own. And so we can get back to that because we should talk about Zare.
Yes.
But Zare, this whole time, his teammate, if you will, his squad mate, Oleg, is very suspicious of Zare after what happened, because Zare, remember, got a commendation for like trying to fight off Ezra and all them, and which obviously he wasn't, but Oleg's very suspicious of this, and he has an ally now in the leadership. What's this guy's name?
Rodens? Is that his name?
Rodens, yes.
Yes.
Rodens.
And I think Rodens is the gray-looking Imperial guy from the episode who's like running the drills. They never named this guy, but by these book standards, I think that guy is Rodens. So.
Okay, so he's come in, and remember, Zare has like a pretty good relationship with this other. Higher up, what's his name?
Is it Chori? It's not Chori, is it?
Chori?
No, it starts with a C. I know that.
Yeah,
let me find it.
Okay, well, and this is like a whole conflict the whole time. And by the way,
Cryon,
yeah. Cryon's fine. So they and Cryon's like the quote unquote the good Imperial, the good German, that kind of thing. So so there's and this whole time it's essentially like there's a big interrogation scene where Rodens interrogates our boys there, and he's just like, listen, you have some friends in high places, and like so I'm not gonna I don't have the authority to punish you, but I have my eyes on you, etc., etc. So
he calls back. He's like, "Oh, you had a teammate on your team, this Beck, who was part of Insurgents. You beat up your athletic director at your old high school, like."
Your
things don't look
deserter, all that.
Exactly. So things don't look great for Zare, but you got friends in high places, and then this is
guilty by association shit. This is classic fascism.
Yeah, and then Rodens is like, all right, I have to do this test, by the way. I don't know the purpose of this test, and he pulls out a data pad and he shows him a cup, a ship, and a speeder. And then he's like, and now tell me what's on the screen. And, he turns it away. That classic Jedi Temple training.
Indeed.
Which I've always thought, what is the difference between the ship and the speeder? Yeah. They're so similar.
Yeah, I don't know. You gotta have the eyes of a fucking mechanical king like Anakin, you know what I'm saying? So, king of mechanics. I don't know. Anyway, so there, and then all the while and then I guess we'll just get up to the climax with Zare too, since we went up there with Mary. So, basically, they also Rodens has also they go back. He goes back for winter break, and this is where this is the one time when Zare and Mary have like scenes together, really, outside of a few calm conversations, and they've grown distant. Part of that, of course, is that Mary is into Jix a little bit, but also like they've just been apart, and it's been an extremely stressful relationship, and he's going through like the things that a lot of like soldiers returning home from either training or battle go through, where it's just like he can't turn it off, even though obviously he like doesn't want to be an Imperial soldier. So all this stuff, and they so they're kind of drift apart. There's a scene where he's like running and she's following him on her
bike, her speeder,
her hopper, or whatever it is, and like they're talking the whole time, but like he's telling her he's unloading all this stuff, but hasn't like asked her about it. So like they're having like kind of a typical, they're 15-year-olds. It's a they're drifting apart. They don't have fully developed minds yet. They're not ready for a serious relationship, really. But so then when he goes back though to for the next semester, the what's his face? Roddens is like, okay, well, you're no longer training. Like, you guys are gonna like enforce like law and order bullshit here on Lothal, and so they have to go door to door and like ask people to inform on their neighbors if they've heard anything suspicious, heard them complaining about the government, all this kind of like obviously like this extreme, extreme fascism.
Yeah.
And so
and Zer in this is very much the good German, and then you have Oleg who wants to be just the enforcer. He wants to intimidate everybody.
They send them out in pairs and they team up Zer with Oleg, and Oleg is on to Zer and is clearly feeding information to Roddens the whole time. So they wind up, Oleg winds up kind of like drumming up all these bullshit charges against people, and while Zer's trying to kind of like just talk to them, do the bare minimum, not get anybody in trouble. And so
and then there's also the moment where like they have to go out for one assignment where like they have to lead some stormtroopers in like taking away like a set of parents. And, like, Zer is, like, forced to be the one to, like, hold back the children and
like,
keep their, like, children at bay.
Take the children into custody and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And that, like, that pushes Zer over the edge where he's like, I can't even, like, pretend to do this anymore. Because
this starts to mirror the first book with the athletic director who pushed him over the edge.
Yeah.
Roddens kind of takes the place of that athletic director, and it's just like, one more thing and I don't care, I'm going over, that's... I'm over it. I'm over this.
He goes and talks to Cryon, who's the one guy, and he's like, I this is a risk, but I'm going to talk to him because he seems like he's not into like what they've had to do. But basically, Cryon tells him like, well, if you just like hang in there, like when you get, like, I'm trying to get you transferred to the planet where he thinks his sister is. What's that called? Arcanus.
Arcanus.
And he's just like, in Arcanus, there's not all the civil unrest there. Like, it'll be an easier experience. Like, you won't have to deal with this kind of stuff. So, like, just get through it. And, obviously, like Zer's like, well, this guy does legitimately care about me, but, like, I can't just get through it anymore. And so he winds up being on assignment again with Oleg to take down this bar. This cantina. They have like not properly taxed.
They're apparently getting shipments in at night, and the shipments don't have the taxation stickers on them. That's the lead.
And like this is like some sort of transitional period where like the tax system is changing, so it's like it's not something in a reasonable society that anybody would be arrested for or anything.
Right.
So basically, they're trying to arrest everyone, and Zer at first is like, being his usual cautious self, trying to maybe avoid anything. But then two people come in, and they're like, and they recognize Oleg, and they're like, Oleg, what are you doing? And it's Oleg's uncles, and and Oleg's like, well, not these two. These two don't need to be arrested. And then Zer takes this opportunity to be like, well, Oleg's a piece of shit, so like I'm gonna get him out. And so he says, like, oh, like, Oleg, like I'm taking over from here, like, you're trying to, like...
He grabs Oleg, and he says, look at me. I am the captain now.
Indeed. So that's a great movie. Then there's and so at this point, that's the point where while Oleg is terrible, Zare's like, I just essentially like got these two guys imprisoned and like drummed this kid out for something he didn't do. Like, so he's like, what kind of person am I becoming? And then at that point, that's the Rodens is like, oh, I'm glad you revealed Oleg to be the traitor that he is. Like, you're getting a promotion. You're going to Arcanus. So that's that. And then with Mary, let's go back over Mary.
Hang on. I will say, though, this is where we have... It's right after this moment we have our second episode where he appears in Rebels. And after he gets promoted to Arcanus, the drill instructor, she takes him and she gives him, like, level 3 clearance. Yeah. Sort of thing, with this data disk sort of thing, and when he sees Dev Morgan, aka Ezra, that's like the first thing he says to him in the episode. Oh, I got like stage 3 clearance now, baby. Like that's like what Zare leads with. So I think that was just a way to tie into the episode there.
Sure.
But anyway, Mary.
Back to Mary. She's kind of. Oh, you can take over because where did we leave off with her?
So Mary, she just dropped, is it Jigsaw? And she's like, all right, I know what I have to do. Right. So during this whole book, her and Laxo seems to like her sort of thing. Like he gets enjoyment out of her
she's
presence.
Like she's got spunk, kid. That kind of
yeah, she's got spunk. Yeah, but her relationship with him sours because when doing her courier work, she meets people that people are paying him for protection basically, and one of the people she meets is a poet who wrote anti-imperial poetry and is now like there's a warrant out for his arrest. And there is Laxo was just like, oh, I got this job. I'm selling this guy out to a bounty hunter. He's worth more to me for the bounty than him just paying me credits. And basically, so Mary's like, I can't support this anymore. I need out. So she develops this plan where she's going to, she has a locator her father gave her. She's going to activate the locator and then send a message to her parents, telling her parents that
she got kidnapped by
Laxo. Yes, Laxo is the one who did the infiltrating at the transportation ministry, and he has kidnapped me because I am your guys' daughter. He knows that you guys are leading the investigation. And, that's the thing. When really Mary goes there and she's going to wipe his computer with the eraser thing so that there is no evidence of her being involved or anybody else in the syndicate involved. The only person they can tie it to is Laxo because she's trying to protect Jix too. And what ends up happening is she goes into Laxo's office. They have this little moment, and then stormtroopers come bursting in. She wipes the computer, but as she's wiping the computer, she figures Laxo is just going to be arrested, and they shoot him dead. And then Mary has to come to the realization that she is responsible for his death, and that she's like looking at his lifeless body, and his eyes are open, and like I think it says they have an expression of bewilderment in them, and like this is like burned into her head. So basically that's like the big moment that happens with her, and then like afterwards it's like she's talking about how she can't sleep because when she sleeps all she sees is like Laxo's eyes, and it's just like she has to live with this thing that she's responsible with, but she also got her parents, the investigation's over, so now she's out scot-free. So what was the price she paid?
So it's both of our main characters have gotten what they wanted because Zare wanted to get to Arcanus, and she wanted to get this investigation off her back, but they paid a huge price, morally. They did something that compromised their values. And in the case of Mary, somebody even if she had a complicated relationship with them, somebody she cared about is dead. So there's the epilogue winds up where she gets a message from Zare.
We should say something, though. They break up.
Oh, yeah, I forgot. They did break up. They broke up, yes. This was after the winter break. They were on a comm thing, and she basically says, like, this is too stressful for me. Like, obviously, I want you to get what you... I want you to find your sister, all that stuff, but, like, I can't do it anymore. And, like, she starts to maybe then lean into possibly some sort of relationship with Jix, although that's not consummate. I don't mean consummated in the traditional sense. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
But and then also too, Zare, he sends her a message later, basically like saying, apologizing.
Because
and then
she gets a message and he apologizes, says, "I'm going to Arcanus, like, so like the things that we like went through together, like ultimately, like I got what I needed, so I want to thank you. Like, wouldn't have been able to do it without you. Sorry." About all that stuff, being a teenage boy, etc., etc. So then but she tries to call him back because she looks up. She still has the code from the last book that gives her clearance, and she looks up what his transfer record, and his transfer record includes a note about how the reason he's being transferred is because it has to do with what's Ezra's code name?
Dev Morgan.
Dev Morgan.
Yeah.
So. It has to do with that. So, like, the Inquisitor is interested in him because of his connection to Dev Morgan, not necessarily, like, he's not been fooled. Like, he knows what's going on. So, she then goes to Zare's parents' house, and remember, Zare's dad is still, like, the Empire's great. Zare's mom knows what's up.
He's very much like this guy watching Fox News, yelling at the TV,
very much.
Yeah,
unfortunate. Very deeply sad. We all know it. We all know people like this. So, but his mom knows what's up, knows everything. In case you guys forgot, but so she tells her what's going on, and she's just like, I lost my daughter, and now like he's like my son's never coming back, and that's how the book ends.
Yeah, I know.
It's insane. I was I don't know. I got. Like, I'm really excited for the fourth book, the conclusion. This kind of feels like just a novel, like a big. Doesn't it to you? Like, it kind of.
Well,
he's structured in an interesting way because I feel like the next book will be an ending. It doesn't feel like because often we've had with this show, right, where it's like, okay, so there's going to be the next one's the last one, or like or that kind of felt like the end, like like all this sort of weird.
But this actually feels
stuff.
like the end. The end is,
and it feels like it's structured the way like a quote unquote adult Star Wars novel would be structured.
Well,
like
also too, we've not mentioned these books don't have chapters.
Yeah, they have
books,
parts.
They have parts. Yeah,
like
so
two or three parts at most. So.
Yeah, so that's like been the interesting part about that. So that makes it a little more book-like too. So, but it's this is good. This is very good. Jason Fry has been very good here.
I gave the first one a 9 to give it somewhere to go. And
you gave the last one a 9 too, I think.
Yeah, because I felt like it was unfair because I didn't realize that. Like, that was a dip, but I was like, but really the first one was more of a 10, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, so I went somewhere to go, and I think we've gotten there. This book is conceived in midi-chlorians.
Well, I'm gonna smack that conceive button again because it's a double conceived.
Oh, double conceived. We've conceived twins, baby.
This book is awesome. This book is great. And I can't say it again. Like, he nails all the things that the Empire should be. They're evil, there's greed, there's all sorts of corruption going on, but yet you still have, like, the people who, like, you said the good Germans, who are there, who, like, believe in the core message of the Empire, that it's like we're trying to bring, like, peace and order,
essentially been fooled into believing that this is the right, this entity cares about them. Which these kinds of things that have happened in the real world, they don't happen without the consent of at least some number of the population, and not all those people are necessarily just evil. They're kind of just naive, a lot of them. A lot of them.
So that's great. Mary is a fascinating
Great
character. Mary, I'm not to play favorites, but Mary is my favorite of the two of them.
Sure.
So
yeah.
I'm curious
I think
to see
her
where she
milieu
goes.
is also of more interest to us. Like, I think both of us are maybe like not that into like military academy shit.
No, but we love slicers. We're all about that
the
slicing,
slicers,
baby.
I like to imagine Jix looks like Matthew Lillard in Hackers. Oh, by the way, this is maybe a little too inside for the audience, but I just thought this was funny. Friend of the show, Sam McCauley. I saw him a few days ago, and he brought the movie Scream was brought up, and he had not seen Scream, which is wild. But regardless, he asked, "Is Matthew in that?" Meaning Matthew Lillard. I don't really know what he even knows Matthew Lillard from. I was just like, yeah, like, it's by far what he's most famous for. Like, and he was just like, what about fucking Scooby-Doo, dude?
Yeah, I was about to say Scooby-Doo.
And I was like, as an actor, I think wouldn't you agree he's by far more famous for Scream? Like,
yeah, Scream is the big Lillard role.
And that's like an iconic role.
Because he needs to see the movie. Yeah, he needs to see the movie. If he loves Matthew, then he's going to love Scream. Like, it's going to blow him away. Scream is going to blow his pants off.
Yeah, he won't be able to handle Scream, honestly. All right. Off track, I apologize. But yeah, double conceived, we're having twins here at Padawan Library. Can't believe I didn't think of that before. That would have been we would have been having so many twins before. All right. But yeah, so next week it's the conclusion. It's the conclusion? The Secret Academy.
And we are also watching Police Academy 4, Citizens on Patrol. So I am actually unfamiliar with the Police Academy movie.
I think I may have seen one of them on like Comedy Central when I was like 7, but I have no memory of it. I remember there's the sound effect man. The sound effect man is in these movies, correct? Yes.
Who's also in Spaceballs. So
yes. So there's a Star Wars connection, everybody. We got it.
There we go.
All right, so we'll talk about that next week, and then we'll announce what our next run is. I don't know if we've fully settled on.
We need to do we need to do a standalone book, and then we'll do our next series, that Clone Wars series, probably. So.
Yeah, and then at some point we got to finish up Jedi Prince and do that last book too.
Yeah, I think that'll be like our second to last episode, in my opinion.
That's probably a fair. Yeah, we'll figure it all out. We'll announce at least the next short run of episodes next week. So
yep.
Stay tuned.
Until the books are due back,
the library is closed. Padawan Library is hosted and produced by Tim May and Levi Peretic. It is edited by Tim May. Our theme song is by The Astral Project. Our artwork is by Freddie Funbuns. Padawan Library is copyright 2021. Tim May and Levi Peretic. All rights reserved.